Now that we understand a little bit about how branching, merging, and rebasing works, let's go ahead and take a look at some of these examples in GitHub. And specifically, we're going to look at branching and merging branches as well while we're in there. So you'll notice that I've cleared out my local tracked repositories in GitHub for Windows to make these examples a little bit clearer. Let's start off by setting up a quick repository. I'm going to go ahead and create one. We're going to let it push to GitHub, and we're going to go ahead and call this one Branch Merge Demo. And I'm going to go ahead and create it. The next thing we need to do is we need to make sure that we commit and push this to GitHub. Now that it's commit, we need to publish. After publishing, you'll notice that we still need to sync that change, sending it up to GitHub. Now our change is up there, we can go ahead and start working with this repository. We've got our repository set up, connected to GitHub, and we're all ready to work with it. Let's go ahead and create a file in here just so we've got something to work with. Now we've got a file in here, let's go ahead and commit. Now that we've got this change and everything's synced, let's take a look at how we can make a branch. You'll notice that we've been working on the master branch this whole time. You've seen this in every example that we've been working with so far. Let's go ahead and change the branch. To do that, we just click on this, which brings up our branch switching menu. From here, we can filter or create a new branch by just typing one in. I'm going to show you the more advanced view, and then we'll jump back to this one to use it. The more advanced view shows you a large view of all the branches and gives you some additional options. The merging is down here at the bottom, and we'll have a list of branches here once we've created some. Let's go ahead and create a branch. When I filtered for this, since it didn't find any branches that matched the name I typed in, it gives me the option to create a new branch from the master. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this button. Now you'll notice that it has changed the title up here so that I'm no longer on master, I'm now on feature XYZ branch. That's very useful to just make sure you glance at that from time to time so you know where you're working at any given time. Let's go ahead and make a change on this branch. So now that we've made that change, there's a couple of things that need to happen. The first one is that we need to publish that. Publishing is essentially telling the centralized repository that this exists. We get the option to publish it or not. If we publish it, we make it accessible to everybody else. If we don't publish it, we're just working locally. We also currently have some changes. Let's go ahead and commit these changes. Now that they're committed, they're ready for me to continue using, and I can actually work with them locally. I can actually merge right now. Let's go ahead and merge these back into the master. So in order to do this, I drag the branch I want to go from and the branch I want to go to, and you'll notice it describes it now as feature XYZ to master going into master. And so this illustrates very nicely that the change will happen on master in this case for me. Now normally I would go ahead and pull and then do this just to make sure that there weren't any changes in master, but I happen to know that there aren't any because I'm recording a demo. Let's go ahead and click merge. So now my changes should have made it back into the master branch. Let's go ahead and switch back. So now I've switched back to the master branch, and you can see that I have an unsynced commit from my local feature branch. Because I never pushed it, it's actually a local commit still. You can see up here that I can actually sync this branch up. So when I do that, it's going to send that change up to GitHub and allow it to be used by anyone else. My branch still exists. I can go back to it. It still hasn't been published. You'll notice that it has everything down here under history with no uncommitted changes, no listed unsynced changes, since I merged them back to another branch already. If I continue changing here, you can see that I've got this change again, and I can continue using that same process. Now let's say that I want to work with someone else. In this case, I need to click on Publish. When I click on Publish, this sends it up to GitHub. So now GitHub knows that this branch exists, whereas before it was just kept locally. The danger here, you'll remember, is now other people can work with this code. Luckily for now, I'm just doing merges instead of rebasing. Let's go ahead and sync this. Now that everything's been synced and working, we can go ahead and start using our new branch, and everybody else can work with it as well. At this point, behind the scenes, I've gone and made a change to my GitHub repository. Let's go ahead and make a change to the master branch. Let's go ahead and make a change to the README file. When we're done making that change, we need to make sure that we commit. Now we have an unsynced commit. If I mouse over, you'll see that I am ahead by 1 commit and behind by 0 commits. Let's go ahead and click this. If I switch over here, you'll see that I am behind by a commit. Now we have some changes in each of the branches. Let's go ahead and merge them together. Since I'm going to continue working in the master, I want to merge the change that was made into the feature branch back into the master branch. So let's go ahead and drag where we want to bring the code from, where we want to send it to, and you'll see which one's going to change, which is master. And when we do that, the update has been made in here. You'll notice that it created this merge. Let's take a look at what that looks like in history. See here that we have this merge remote tracking branch origin feature XYZ. This shows that we merged in our branch, which is called origin/feature XYZ, because it is the feature. It's out at origin right now, which is the GitHub location. It's just a nickname for it. And we have this unsynced merge. Let's go ahead and sync this now. As soon as that's sent up there, you'll notice everything shows up. These are those pesky merge commits that we were talking about that always happen. Let's take a look at what would happen if we did a rebase on something like this. So I'm going to go ahead and make another change behind the scenes on master, and I'm also going to make a change locally on master, and we're going to go ahead and watch what happens when they rebase together. Now that I'm done making my change, you can see that it's updated to tell me that that change is up there and is ready to be synced. But I'm going to go ahead and pretend that I was doing my coding at the same time, so I don't know that that is there yet. Let's go ahead and make our change now. Now we need to commit this. And as soon as that's committed to master, you'll see that we have one change going up and one change going down. Let's verify our settings. If we go here into options, you'll see that we have use rebase for pulls. That means that when I pull in the changes, it should do a rebase. And now it has done our rebase. If you look over here on the left, we have, from before when we did our merge of the branches, we have this merge commit, but then the change that I made up on github.com is here, and the commit that we just made locally is here, and there is no merge commit. Let's go ahead and do the same thing again, but this time I'm going to uncheck the box. So I've already made my change in GitHub. Let's go ahead and make the adjustment here. So now I've made that change here as well. Let's go ahead and commit this. Now you'll notice that everything is updated and we've got one change coming down and one change going up. Let's make sure that we switch this setting. So now we're going to use a merge instead of a rebase. Now you can see that we've got that change that I made up on the server, the change that I made locally, and then there's this merge. So you'll notice that what ends up getting a little bit weird, and this is one of the reasons why a lot of people like rebases, is that this same change is actually listed twice in the history of this, because that merge had to happen. So the fact that that exists 2 times, sure looking like the same change, the only difference being that one of them is declared as a merge. This is one of the reasons why many people like using a rebase instead of a merge. Before we move on, I want to take one last look at branching and just make sure that I show some of the examples of what you can do inside the more advanced branching screen. In here, we have a few options. First off, you can add a new branch based on this branch, or you can add a new branch based on any other branch that's in here as well. You can also press push pins to make branches stick around for easy access. You can also delete a branch. Keep in mind that this will get the local and the server copy. However, it cannot also get any other local copies anyone else has. Remember, everyone has their own repository, so if anybody else has a copy of this, they have the branch and you can't delete it from theirs that easily. So make sure that there's at least some communication. You can also unpublish a branch, which will remove it only from the server and keep it locally. Keep in mind here also that the same thing applies. Anyone that already has a local copy will keep their local copy. There's no way to prevent that. You'll remember that I said you can create a branch from an existing branch. So if I click this button, I can create a new branch. When I do this, it makes a new branch that's based off that other branch. So when this one merges in, I will often merge it right into the branch that it's from. So you can get some pretty complicated branching and merging strategies going on here, whatever it is that your project requires and your team likes to do. Once you've got this, you can also filter. So once you get too many, you can use this to find the ones you're looking for.